What does that even mean, Bowers Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. Today, I'm very excited to check out Alien Frontiers from GameSalute and Clever Mojo Games. It's for 2 to 4 players. Age is 13 plus. It'll take you less than 90 minutes to play. And in Alien Frontiers, do you have what it takes to colonize a new world? Because that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be colonizing a new world by chucking dice and then placing those dice on different spots on the board. It is a dice allocation worker placement game with a little bit of take that, which you're going to be trying to conquer different parts on a planet to gain victory points, also to gain special abilities, and do some other cool things around the board. Sound intriguing? Let's open it up, and I'll tell you if it's any good. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what's going to get inside of Alien Frontiers. First and foremost, we have our handy dandy rule booklet. It's 16 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples, all the good stuff you like to see in a rule booklet. This is like their 3rd or 4th edition, and I got to tell you, this is a very well done rule booklet. It will have you up and running in no time at all. And they also have the quick play reference and the icon reference on the back, which is very beneficial. I love when game companies do that, so big thumbs up there. And before we get started, I just want to go over the components real quick. Like, you see this box, and certainly, yeah, it's pretty mad box insert. But the bottom line is, everything has its own little tuck box, which I actually thought was a really dumb idea, and now I want it in every single game. It's just incredibly useful and beneficial. And in fact, I forgot to take this one out of here. So yes. So you're going to have your own unique tuck box to hold everything, and it fits in there just perfectly, and I really, really do like that. So in Alien Frontiers, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking your dice, and these dice are going to be your ships that you're going to be launching out into different spots in outer space, and you're going to do a whole bunch of different things and try to get the most victory points on this victory point track over there. Clear as mud, right? Well, we'll go into some of the different spots, and it will make more sense to you. So first and foremost, you're going to have your victory tracker right here. We'll set this over to the side. But your rocket ship, and yes, it is a really cool looking little rocket ship, is going to go up or down because this game has what are called variable points. So essentially, when you are able to launch one of your colonies onto the planet, you're going to gain a point. Also, you might potentially gain one of these special ability tiles right here, and as long as you have this special ability tile, you are going to gain an additional point. So if we took that right now, we would get 2 points, one for our colony and one for going right here. However, if someone else were to steal this special ability token from us by conquering that area, we would go down 1 point. So even though you might have, say, 3, 4, 5 points, you could potentially lose a couple points. So there are going to be some roaming points in this game. Next, let's go over what you're going to get your own personal stuff. You're going to get your dice, which, as we mentioned, standard D6 dice. They're pretty nice, serviceable, perfectly fine dice that you're going to use as your rocket ships. You're also going to have these little domes right here, which are going to be your different colonies that you are going to be shooting onto the planet. There'll be different ways to do that. We'll get into all of that in a minute. Next, you're going to have 2 main kinds of resources, and I believe they are ore and, I don't know, or they're orange and gray. The gray ones are the ones you really want to have. They're the harder ones to get. And the orange ones are not too terribly difficult to have, but you are going to need both most of the time if you want to do anything. So you're going to want to find a happy medium of those. Next, you're going to have some special ability cards. You'll start off with one of these. You'll be able to purchase some of these, and we'll just go over a couple of them. They're all going to have some really cool special abilities. So this one is going to let you pay one of these guys per colony you have on a territory to use that territory's bonus. So for instance, you might see a bonus out here that's really going to be beneficial to you this round. If you pay and you have enough of these extra, then you can pay that and you gain that bonus. Or you can discard this entire card, just say bye-bye with you card, to place the P on any territory or move a P to a different territory. You're like, what's a P? What does that even mean? That's where these 3 cool little guys come into play. And as you can see, these are really nicely done miniatures that are completely unnecessary, but they really add to the theme of the game, which does come across well. I don't really mention that in the end part because I'm too busy talking about how much I like the game. Spoiler alert. But let's get over to the P, the R, and the I. So the first one is the R, the pressure field. So when you play this one out, no one may add or remove colonies here. So essentially, let's say you got this locked down and you really want to keep this special ability, you might place the repulsor there and then boom, now no one's going to be able to play colonies there. Which means you are essentially going to lock that area down until someone else takes a card that will potentially change that. Next, you're going to have the isolation field. No one may use this territory's bonus. So if someone's like locked down a really good spot, they're really going to be using it a lot, then you go, ah, ha, ha, forget that. Put that over there. Boom, you've locked down that spot. Last but not least, you have the positron field, +1 victory point to the one who controls this territory. So this is yet another roaming victory point that will go from place to place. And once this does get on the board, this one will move. So this is a really fun one to see. And that's actually the one that you might discard. So you might use this at the very end of the game, and it might help you get a victory point. So let's see, we got the Gravity Manipulator. Pay 2 to move 1 point from one of your unplaced ships to another. So this is going to let you manipulate your dice, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about how important that is. Let's see. Pay 1 per ship to remove other players' ship from an orbital facility to do something. Well, that's not really going to make too much sense to you now because you know what's going on. So let's go and get to these spots that are on the board. You see there's lots of cool spots on the board, and they're all going to do different things. This is your typical worker placement game where you're going to have a lot of different places to send your workers. So first, we're going to go to the shipyard right here. This is how you're going to get additional workers, and there's lots of symbology on it. It says if you have one of these guys and one of that guys, and this is your 4th die because you're only going to start with 3, then you can spend it, and boom, you'll be able to do that. But in order to do that, you're going to have a matching, you're going to have 2 of the same. So there's an equal symbol here. So right now, we can put these 2 6s here and spend these guys, and bada boom, this would go into our maintenance bay, which means next round, we would be able to acquire it, and we would have 4 dice. That's great. So let's pretend it's our next turn. Oh, we also have this 4 right here, which is a great way to show you the Colonist Hub right down here. The Colonist Hub is a very slow way to get your colonies onto the planet. So if we have this extra 4, we might put it right here. And that would mean our Colonist Hub would now go bloop right there, and this would be now going along this track. Once it gets to here, if we pay the money, we can launch it out into space, and then it will go onto one of these spots out here. So those are the first 2 spots. So then your turn would be over, everyone else would do their thing, and then you would collect all your die. What that means, though, is that if somewhere else were to go right here and someone else went right here, if you're playing a 4-player game, then the 4th player would not be able to go to the shipyard. So while you can't necessarily always block someone, if you go somewhere, there is a decent chance that that will help to block someone, unless, well, we'll get more into some other things later. So you pick up your 4 dice, because now we have 4 dice, and we roll them up again and see what we get. We got a 1, 2, a 4, and a 6. This is not a particularly good roll. Because, well, we would not be able to use the colony constructor. So we'll go to that one next. So as you can see, it's got 2 equals here. So obviously, in order to play here, you are going to have 3 of the same number. If you have 3 of the same number, and you have 3 of these gray cubes, which as we mentioned, are a little bit more difficult to get, you are going to be able to, boom, immediately shoot one of these onto a spot on the planet, which will be incredibly beneficial to you. That's a really good spot to go if you can go there. Next, you have your lunar mine over here, which is greater than or equal to. And essentially how this works is someone might start off and they might put the 1 here. And boom, the 1 is now here. And they might put their 4 here. And so that would be their turn. And they would collect 2 of the gray cubes. Now, the next person who goes is going to have to play a 4 or higher right here. So as you can see, the lunar mine, depending on who's played on it, might be something where you can only play a 6, or you might be able to play whatever you want. Also, one particularly fun strategy to do is if you have an extra 6, of course, just put it over there, which kind of really screws other people out of getting those gray cubes, which are very beneficial. So that is going to be the lunar mine. That's going to be a good spot for you to get some gray cubes. Next, you're going to have Raiders Outpost. This is where a lot of player interaction is going to go into play. So how this works is you got +1/+1. That essentially means you're going to need a straight. So you might need, you might be able to put 1, 2, 3 there. So if you put 1, 2, 3 there, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to steal either 4 goods or 4 of these goods of either kind from any number of players. So you can steal 1 good from 3 players, and well, 2 goods from 2 players, or 4 goods from 1 player, all sorts of different things. Or you could potentially steal someone's special ability card, which could come in very handy. So that's going to be the Raiders Outpost. Also, the Raiders Outpost is unique because you can bump people's stuff from there. So, for instance, if the next guy goes and he has a 3, 4, 5, which is definitely higher than your 1, 2, 3, then he would boop, bump you out of the way. Your stuff would go to Maintenance Bay, and then he would play his guy there. So next, you're going to have alien artifacts. And there's 2 different symbols here. Normally when you start, but we don't have enough room right here, you're going to have 3 of these cards laid out that you'll be able to purchase, a la like a King of Tokyo or something. Just a purchase row that you could purchase. So what this symbol means is that if you play any die right there, you're going to be able to wipe out those 3 and get 3 new cards. If you can put 2, 3, 4, as many dice as you want to equal or go greater than 8, you'll be able to purchase one of these cards and place it in front of you where you can immediately use it. You can use it as soon as you get it. So the alien artifact spot is where you're going to be able to purchase cards, and those are very beneficial to the game. Next, you're going to have the orbital market. Now, this is a spot that's really interesting because it actually rewards you if you have low dice roll. Essentially, what this means is you are going to be able to put 2 of the same number there because it's got an equal symbol. So we put 2 2s there. And then you are going to be able to convert any number of these to the gray cubes at this cost. So essentially, if you had a 2 there, you'd be able to convert 2 orange cubes to 1 gray cube, or 4 orange cubes to 2 gray cubes. So this is the spot where if you roll double 1s, you're really like, man, double 1s, that'd be a great spot to go there, because then I could, transfer these into 3 gray cubes, which will be very valuable to you. Next, you're going to have the solar converter over here. This is going to be a great spot to get a lot of these orange cubes. There's tons of spots to play there, so it's not a spot that's typically going to get very blocked, and the higher your die is, the more you're going to get. Last but not least, we have the terraforming station, which is the quickest and easiest way to get your colonies onto the planet. However, how this works is, if you roll a 6, you can play it there. You can only play it there if you have more than 3 dice. If you roll the 6, what's going to happen is you pay 1 orange and 1 gray, and then boom, you launch one of these guys onto the colony, which is fantastic. You're going to get a victory point, potentially even 2 victory points, or 3 if the positron is in play. But the catch is, your dice, boom, is now gone. It goes away. So at the beginning of your next turn, instead of collecting it, you would actually lose that die, which means you would have to re-earn that die if you wanted to. So the terraforming station is a great way to get started off early, but at the same time, it is going to hinder you a little bit. Now, why are you trying to shoot them here? Obviously, you want to get victory points, but you're also going to notice that there's special ability tokens scattered around the planet. So we'll go over a couple of them right here. Now, one thing I really like about this in the graphic design, and I didn't mention this in the pros and cons, is that everything is really easy to understand. So see this little line right here? That means this special ability is going to affect the colonist hub. This one is going to affect over here, the shipyard. This one is going to affect the over here. So as you can see, the lines are very easy to see. So let's see. This one right here, we have the Herbert Valley. Pay 1 and 1 less than normal when you use the shipyard. So essentially, this is going to allow you to make more ships quicker, which is really well. This is one of my favorite spots. So essentially, you're going to purchase the relic ship, and you're going to have an additional die. However, it's going to cost you 1 and 1 on your turn to use it. But once you do that, you'll unlock it, and you can potentially be rolling 7 dice on a turn, which could be very valuable. Next, pay 1 less than normal when you use the colony constructor. This is a really good one, especially if you have a lot of dice, because now if you can get 3 of a kind instead of paying 3 gray cubes, you only have to pay 2. This one over here is going to let you put 1 number lower. Like normally you'd have to do greater than or higher, but this one's going to let you mess with that. This one right over here, the Pole's Foothill. This is a really good one. Pay $1 less than normal on each alien tech card you use. So essentially, that doesn't impact the price up here, but normally, so let's just say this one right here. Oh, where is it? Yeah, here we go. This is the best one in my opinion to combat with. So you would pay 1 to subtract 1 point from one of your unplaced ships. So essentially that's going to allow you to manipulate your die, your numbers on your die. However, if you had the Pole Foothills, you would essentially be able to do that once per turn absolutely free, which can be incredibly valuable. And anywho, you're going to continue going until someone has gotten rid of all their ships. You're only going to have a certain number of ships depending on the player count. And that's another thing I wanted to mention is you can see there might be some numbers right here. And you'd be like, what are these numbers all about? That's actually an easy way of telling you which ones you block off depending on how many players you have in the game. But anywho, once someone has launched all their ships into space, you'll tally up the points. Whoever has the most points is going to be the winner of Alien Frontiers. And that, in a nutshell, is how the game is played. Oh, great dokery. Alien Frontiers from Clever Mojo Games and Game Salute. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, the game is not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. The biggest one for me is that it's 2 to 4 players, which is an incredibly restricted player count. And also, there are a lot of other games vying for your attention when you get 2 to 4 players. Another problem is some people are not going to like the dice rolling in this game. Well, I do feel like the different spots on the board and the different tech cards can really sort of mitigate all the dice rolling. The bottom line is if someone starts off hot and has a couple good rolls in a row and you do not, they're going to jump up to a substantial lead. Now, there also are mechanisms in play where you can potentially kind of knock down the leader, but some people are really not going to like those mechanisms as well, which is another con of the game. The next comment I have is that it's not quite a gateway game. That's one thing. While I feel like it's a very, very simple game once you know what you're doing, this is definitely not a gateway game, but I do definitely think it's maybe like your second worker placement game that you can play because it is a relatively simple game. Any other cons that I have with this? There's nothing really that I can think of, because moving on to the pros, Alien Frontiers is fantastic. This is a fantastic game that you should get. If you routinely hit 2 to 4 players, just get the game. It plays well with 2, it plays well with 3, it plays well with 4. I like 3 and 4 better, but 2 is definitely not bad. I also like the fact that it says less than 90 minutes. That's poppycock. Well, I guess that's true, actually. I've never had a game of this last longer than 70 minutes with 4 players. It goes very briskly. There's a lot of cool mechanics in this game. Let's just get started. What do I like about this game? First and foremost, I think I have the 3rd or 4th edition of this. The components are absolutely drop dead gorgeous. I mentioned that middle part, so I'm not going to hammer on it too much, but everything in this leaks of quality. Also, I really like how the mechanisms work. I like the fact that even if you get 2 1s, there's still something on the board that is going to be very beneficial for you. I like the fact that all the different spots on the board are going to be beneficial based on what numbers you like. I also like the fact that there's different ways to get your little colonies onto the planet. You can do it the quick and easy way, which is also going to be the painful way because it means you're going to lose a dice. Or you might get the lucky way where you roll triples and it's expensive, but boom, you've just got one up there. I like the fact that when you've got those extra dice, like normally you might have this extra dice in a game where it's like, ah, crap, I got an extra die, there's nothing to do with it. Not in this game, because now you're moving forward and forward and forward, getting closer to eventually launching that ship onto the colony. I also like the fact that you can just leave that colony just on the cusp of being launched, and people will be like, oh man, I'm not going to go to his spot because he's about to do this or that, and I like that an awful lot. I enjoy the artwork, I enjoy the special ability cards. I love cards that give you a super special ability if you discard the card. That's a mechanism that I really enjoy in this game, and I feel like the cards are pretty well balanced in that aspect. What else do I like about the game? Oh, one more con that I do want to mention is that there is a little bit of take that to the game, that someone can just come up and take 4 of your resources or take your cards. Some people are not going to like that. I personally do like that. It keeps the player interaction up there. Oh, but the last mechanism that I really enjoy this game is that with your typical worker placement game, it's I go here, you go there, he goes here, I go here, you go there, he goes here. You know, you take turns doing that. Not so much in this game. You take your entire turn and then you're done. Then someone else takes their entire turn and then you're done. But that is also another comment some people might not enjoy that I did forget to mention, is that while there is player interaction, you know, when you're not taking your turn, you're essentially just sitting there, you know, not really doing anything. But I personally, I think that how quick and briskly this game goes, it's not that big of a deal. But granted, if you had 5 or 6 players, that might become a problem. Overall, though, this is a no-brainer. If you routinely hit 2 to 4 players, get Alien Frontiers. It is fantastic. It is a fantastic worker placement game. If you like worker placement games, check this out. If you routinely hit 2 to 4 players, check this out. If you like space themes, check this out. If you like awesome components, check this out. If you like games, check this out. It's a fantastic game. One that I highly recommend. That is Alien Frontiers from Clever Mojo Games and Game Salute. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below and in the comments below. Let me know if you were stuck in outer space and you could only bring 2 things. 2 things. What would you bring? For me personally, we're assuming you have an unlimited supply of electricity also. But I'd say maybe an iPod just filled to the brim, you know, like an 80 million terabyte. That's way too many. So because I gotta have music, and then also just a Kindle loaded to the teeth of books. I just sit there and read music and do books, and that'd be great. Actually, no. I want to take some solo games. I don't know. It's such a hard question. Why don't you guys answer it so I don't have to? Anywho, thanks for your time, YouTube. That was the review for Alien Frontiers. For more reviews and previews, check back at Bowers Game Corner.
I told you to go to the bathroom on Mercury. We're not pulling over.